Hello and welcome back to the channel. Okay, joining me as always is a Red Dead Panda. Hello, Red Dead Panda.
Hi, Elite Gaming Guru. How are you?
I'm good, yeah, very good. Obviously, Games Initiative podcast. I think we're at episode 16. I think
Something.
possibly.
I think you're probably accurate there. We've been off for like the last couple of weeks. I haven't really been around.
No.
Yeah, I haven't been available for the last couple of weeks, so my bad, guys. But
That's right. Yeah.
thank you for joining us again this week.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah, and yeah, I was just saying we've got the at the moment in the UK, we've all of Europe, we've got the football Euros going on, so that's big. So last night, obviously, we had a game and England beat Ukraine 4-0 to get us into the semi-finals of the tournament, and had quite a lot to drink, quite a lot of rums and quite a lot of beers. So I'm a bit hungover, and I've got a cold. But Hero, what's the time now? I think it's 11, almost 11 a.m. in the morning for me, Sunday morning. What's it for you for now? It's
It's 9 minutes to 10 at night.
Yeah,
Sunday
night.
evening.
That's just
Yours was
madness.
Sunday morning, mine's Sunday night.
Yeah. So it's been Monday for you too. It's weird.
And
then,
for those out there who aren't aware of what Elite's talking about when he's talking about the football, he's talking about soccer, but they call it football in the UK. So just FYI,
and Europe,
he's talking about soccer. Yeah, in Europe, they call it football in Europe as well.
Yeah. So should we get straight into? Oh, where can we find you? You might as well just shout out where we can find you.
Yeah. First off, you can find me on Twitter. I'm very active on there for the most part. But yeah, Red Dead Panda 1. It's the number 1. You can find me on there. You can find me on Xbox Live at Red Dead Panda 871, and I am on YouTube, and I will one day be putting something up when I actually find the time to do so. Honestly, I'll be like, I could put up a video. No, I think I might play a video game. I can't find a good game YouTube balance at the moment, but I'm doing these podcasts, which I guess is my happy medium at the moment. Yeah, where can we find you now, Elite?
Right, so yeah, obviously
where else can we
I'm here on YouTube, but I've finally got a Twitter account going. It's called Gamers Initiative Podcast, so it's based on this. So please, guns, sort of follow me on there. It's got I've got a weird tag on there. It's at Gamers, but then its initiative is spelt weird. So I don't know why I did that. I don't know if I could have controlled that or choose my own tagline for it. I'm not so sure. What I'll do is I'll throw it down in the comments, I think, so it'd be easier just to follow it through there. And eventually what we'll do is we'll throw up our links onto our background of the show, so you can just link it through there. I think it'd be easier when
I'll set that up.
Yeah, we'll set that up. So, and I also need a logo for the Twitter thing, but yeah, I'm live on Twitter now, and I've already banned some people because a certain fan base is very toxic straight from the get-go. It's just weird, a very weird fan base.
Admit it, Elite, you're a fraud, and you go out there and you ask for it.
Well, I don't really answer it. I just see someone writing a lot of rubbish, and I just contest it and just question the stuff they're writing, and rather than debate back their point or cover their own statement, they just start insulting and going weird. It's like block.
We should just call you. We just should call you just Loki, Elite. That's it. Yeah, definitely the Loki of the internet. No, I'm kidding.
It would be easy. I just thought if you're going to post stuff, just post the truth, or so people don't get receipts on you. Because that's what seems to happen to them. People get receipts on them because they quote so much nonsense that people they just expose themselves all the time. I don't know why they just don't tell the truth. It's weird.
Yeah, you're so right. I was on Twitter, and I put up a tweet that is now unavailable, but I did take a screenshot of the tweet, and then I attached it to the tweet so people could see it. But some guy was talking about how Microsoft is being greedy. Actually, I'll talk about this later because that lines up with another topic in our stuff, so I'll come back to that.
Right. So let's get on
I'm getting off track. Then. Let's get on to our topic.
The first topic. So our first topic is, let me just put it up on here, the acquisition. So Sony have made some acquisitions recently. So the confirmed acquisition is House Marquee. Then was Nixis Software confirmed?
Yeah, Nixis Software. Yes,
that's
it was
confirmed. And then there's the rumor about Bluepoint acquisition. So let's start off with House Marquee and Nixis Software. Do you want to run with this? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so House Marquee, you might know them for Returnal, and Resogun, I think, was the launch title for the PS4. I think they're a pretty pretty solid developer in the sense of the work that they have put out over the last few years and such. I think they're more of a double A, and I think talking about what Sony tends to do with the developers if they take on a smaller developer is they do build them into part of that kind of cornerstone blockbuster studios that they're known for, that pump out those very high quality AAA story-driven experiences. But I think they're more diverse than your standard copy and paste that every other studio has done. But it is interesting to look at House Marquee and see how different the fact that PlayStation has thrown money to a problem in the sense that their level of the studios that they had in comparison to the studio numbers that Xbox has, stark contrast. It's complete opposite of what was 2013. So in 2013, through this whole generation...
Can I just stop you there? I don't know if you've got the memo, Panda, but Sony don't buy studios, they grow them in-house. They build
organically, right? Yeah, I'm getting to the organic growth. Yeah, I'm getting to that. I knew exactly where you were going. But it's interesting to see that, like, at this whole generation, Sony has had the monopoly on the amount of studios that they had, which meant that they could pump out a hell of a lot more first-party titles and first-party exclusives, because everyone knows the game is releasing on PlayStation through their first party is exclusive, and then one day it's going to get ported to PC, whether they like it or not. But now we're looking at a complete flip in that formula, where Xbox has the ridiculous amount of studios and PlayStation doesn't really have as many in comparison, which means that there are going to be more games on Xbox than there are going to be on PlayStation. So obviously, to mitigate that, acquiring studios, which is exactly what Xbox did to mitigate the difference between PlayStation in the first place. Yeah. They acquired studios and they threw money at something. But they did this through, obviously, House Marquee has a history of working with PlayStation. So they've got that rapport, just like how Xbox has a rapport with Bethesda and some of the other studios. Yeah. But to say the fact that we got kind of raked over the coals by something that Jim Ryan said in an interview talking about organic growth, like we choose to organically grow our studios, versus what, in stark contrast to what Phil Spencer did with Xbox, where they actually went out and acquired a whole heap of already established studios and threw money at it, and are not planning on growing them organically. They are growing them hella organically, and I think it's just stupid that part of the community chooses to ignore that fact, even though they were trying to shove that down our throats like coal, trying to hit a point home going, oh, PlayStation studios are better because they're organically grown, and now you turn around and you're buying a studio just like they bought Insomniac Games, and suddenly that organic growth rubbish that Jim Ryan spat out is kind of like, I guess, what's the word for it?
Lying.
Like, yeah, but it's kind of like, what's the word when you've been caught out? Like,
exposed.
I can't think of the word. I can't think of it. One day I'll remember, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's kind of left with, kind of like egg on their face, essentially. Not exactly the analogy I wanted to use, but that's a close second. They're kind of left looking a little stupid.
I don't think
because they came out and was,
because he does seem to lie a lot.
He doesn't care.
Stuff.
He doesn't care, but his fan base definitely looks like they've got egg on their face, because they ran with that.
He's quite happy to lie.
They ran with that,
and they're quite happy to lie for him and defend his lies. It's just weird.
Yeah, they stormed that beach. They did that, and they took that charge and they ran with it, and that was the biggest thing that they were trying to throw muck at us. Because yes, you and I are both proud Xbox gamers in the sense we enjoy the platform, we enjoy the games, but we also enjoy games on other platforms and such. But to turn around and try and change the narrative and try and, I guess, damage control the acquisition that was Bethesda's absolutely bullshit by saying it's not organic growth. Yeah. They tried to lessen the impact and try to take that away from us as a fan base, because it's something that we were looking forward to. I am super happy that PlayStation got House Marquee. Yeah. I'm not damage controlling that. at all in saying like it's not like I'm just using your own words against you, and by your definition, this isn't organic growth.
No, it's not.
The toxic Sony fanboys, by your definition, this isn't organic growth, and you'd had the cheek to come back and throw it at us when Bethesda got acquired and those other studios got acquired, that wasn't organic growth.
It's like
the difference between PlayStation and Xbox is Xbox has a bigger purse so they can acquire more studios in quick succession. PlayStation doesn't, so they have to be selective and they have to be smart about it. That is the difference.
The other difference
Get your facts right.
The other difference
Use
is
your brain.
Yeah, the other difference is Xbox just opening up front with what they're doing, whereas Sony are very misleading. It's like the cross generations thing again with Ryan. It's like we believe in cross generations, not really, only pretending, and then the fans defend that. And now it's this: we believe in sort of homegrown studios, and then they go and buy studios, exactly the same as Microsoft, and then the fans defend it. It's just weird flip flop. But the thing I find interesting about House Marquee, because what's funny, as I've joined Twitter, what I've seen is them comparing House Marquee to Bethesda. Trying to claim House Marquee,
you can't compare that,
but bigger and better than Bethesda, which has got to be the most stupidest thing I've ever seen on the planet.
It is so stupid. You want to explain to them why it's stupid there, Elite? You want to elaborate?
Apart from the obvious is that House Marquee only made games for Sony anyway, so it's not really that much of a big deal. They basically bought a studio that were more or less because a lot of people were saying I thought that was already first party. No, it wasn't, and then you bought. Also, the other thing I want to jump on is that they've not disclosed how much they bought these studios for, which is odd. They sort of dodged around that. I wonder why they've not.
That'll come out.
Yeah, how much they disclosed it.
It'll probably come out in a blog post. Blog posts aren't effective, guys. As much as PlayStation likes to think blog posts are effective, it is not effective. Nah. Some people do not have time to sit down and read a blog post. Put it on a video. Yeah. People can listen to a video.
Yeah, because you can drive your car, you can do whatever while you listen to videos. I don't
exactly.
You can't just.
But can I ask you, Elite? Based on the level of the caliber of the studios, who's had more success?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Out of House Marquee and Bethesda.
It's uncomparable. I mean, it's even like recent game Returnal had a lot of issues, got a lot of kickback because it had a lot of bugs and a lot of problems with it. People were trying to return the game. That's why I was calling it. Well, I think they was calling it Returnal. Returnable. Unreturnal. I think it's called it Unreturnal because you couldn't return the game because of all the issues it had, and Sony don't take refunds.
Look at Skyrim.
The prior game was a little tiny AA game, wasn't it? Or indie game, wasn't it? The Shogun thing.
You're talking about Shogun.
Yeah, that was only a little indie game.
Yeah.
So they're not really. I would put that studio on the same level as something like probably Compulsion Games or something like that. To be honest.
Oh. I wouldn't necessarily. I think they're similar, but I do think, in my opinion, that House Marquee might be, but a bit a more established studio. But again, we don't know what I guess Compulsion Games is working on. So I want to kind of see what they've learned in the growth and what sort of direction they're going with after their other title, which once they kind of patched it and listened to the community and brought out the DLC, that We Happy Few became a really, really strong game. But looking back at Skyrim, how long has Skyrim been out, guys? It'll be 10 years in November, right? 2020 came out in 2011.
Yeah.
And now it's 2021. In one of the years that Skyrim was out, this wasn't even a launch year. It sold 30 million copies.
Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't even a launch year. 30 million copies. And that's just Skyrim under Todd Howard. That's across multiplat. Clearly, that game has legs. If you want to do a comparison between the Bethesda ZeniMax acquisition to House Marquee, you are dreaming in comparison because that's just Bethesda. That's just Bethesda. Just talking about 30 million sales on Bethesda, one game in 1 year, not even a launch year. How can you compare that? That's one-to-one studio comparison. You're just being stupid. Like, they are not comparable, and for people to try and compare them, it is also diminishing those studios within that ZeniMax acquisition, because those studios have done amazing work, and I think it's so shit that part of our gaming community is trying to, I guess, I don't know how you come to terms with what's going on between, I guess, David and Goliath at the moment, and in regards to studio acquisitions. One is really a punching above their weight, and one isn't. It pisses me off that is a comparison, and it shouldn't be a comparison. They're completely different studios. One's one acquisition versus multiple acquisitions, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, just wanted to rant.
Yeah, so the other thing I'll say now. I think they're okay. The other thing we've got Nixus as well. Nixus, that do PC ports. They're a studio that just does PC ports. Yeah. So obviously the writing on the walls there, where Sony are going ahead, they're gonna start porting their games to PC day one, aren't they? Let's be honest here.
Oh yeah.
So.
What games do you think they're going to help port?
All of them. Let's be honest, all of them.
The Last of Us Remake 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the last.
Which costs £100 if you buy it again. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so they're clearly gonna.
Another $10 for every year after the PS5 is released. So it's $70 for the first year of PS5. It's $80 for the second year of PS5. Yeah. It's $90 for the third. It's going to get ridiculous, guys.
So they bought Nixus Software, which is another studio which don't really make games, they just do PC ports. And in the other room is Bluepoint. They're looking to buy Bluepoint. Now, Bluepoint also don't really make games themselves. I can't think of the last new IP they made. What they make, what they focus on is remasters, which is another worry, which means the PlayStation 5 could be, much like the PS4 at the beginning, the remaster machine, where they're just going to remaster PS4 games for PS5, repackage them, maybe have a little bit of DLC, and sell them to you again for £70. They're all the same games you had on PS4. And unfortunately, the Sony fan base are quite happy with this. They're quite happy to pay £70 for old games, even though after Jim Ryan said about we believe in generations and they all said you don't buy new consoles to play old games. They're quite happy to pay £70 for old games, which is weird. So they don't believe in backwards compatibility, but they believe in buying remasters. Weird. It's weird logic.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you see how Bluepoint potentially got rumoured as a acquisition link? Did you see that?
Yeah. So it was just rumoured.
But do you know how that came? Do you know how that came about?
Oh no!
I mean, this is to all our listeners as well. The hardcore who are on Twitter probably know exactly how this came out.
Right.
So there was an announcement for House Marquee.
Yeah.
And in the announcement at the back was talking about PlayStation Studios, and they had images of all the different games that all their first party studios do.
Yeah.
And Demon Souls was sitting in there.
Oh, right, yeah.
And because Bluepoint did Demon Souls, they were like, is this an accidental leak to tell us that they've acquired Bluepoint?
Yeah.
Bluepoint has since come out and said we're not being acquired. Mind you would say that if you are under NDA.
Yeah.
So you can't actually say anything.
I think I was actually...
other than out against it. Or, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, also, I think on Twitter I see someone had edited that pitch they showed. They basically copied Xbox, didn't they? They've done, this is our this new Sony family, isn't it? And they had all their studios all lined up, basically what Xbox does. Yeah. But someone highlighted that one of the studios that they had in there was a Japanese studio, which they, remember Studio Japan, which they recently closed?
Japan Studios.
Yeah, so I think someone edited it and wrote, Japan Studio, you're not one of the family, get out. So they even added studios that they've cancelled into that family, into that list, which is like, come on, man, you're just getting desperate now. You're trying to compete with Xbox, and you're just doing it really badly.
Okay, so obviously, what was your? I'll go back to the studio acquisitions anyway. But what was your first thoughts when you heard about the acquisitions? Like, were you happy for PlayStation?
Happy
were you like,
yeah.
oh, I kind of already guessed it? Yeah. Did you guess that House Marquee would be one that we would get acquired?
To be honest, no. Just because they already make games for Xbox, PlayStation anyway. The only reason I'd imagine they did buy them is House Marquee must have went to them and said, look, we're struggling. Because I reckon Returnal didn't sell nowhere near as what people claim it did. I reckon it didn't do too well at all. And I reckon they've gone to Sony, look, we're happy to make games for you, exclusive, but we're struggling, we need funding. And that's where Sony said, okay, fine, we'll buy you. And they bought them up to stop their games from going multiplat. Because I think that was the next step. House Marquee were going to go, look, we're struggling with money, this game didn't sell too well, we've got to have to go multiplat. And the Sony have just blocked that. They basically blocked Xbox and go, no, you're not going multiplat, well, here's some money. And that's that. And I reckon a lot of these developers are doing that now. Same as Bluepoint. I reckon they're going, look, we don't have to just work for you, we will make more money going multiplat. And then Sony are going, look, please don't do that, here's some money. And I think that's what's happening. And that's why there's pretty much.
I think it's interesting. Like, money. I was real happy. Yeah. I was pretty happy about the fact that they got House Marquee. I was like, good on PlayStation getting another studio that is going to diversify their launcher, because their launch lineup is a bit. Their first party studio lineup is a bit, I would say, copy and paste.
Yeah.
In the type of genre and style of games that they do.
Yeah.
I think Nexus it's going to be interesting. Obviously, they will be a key port. I guess a really good, a good acquisition for helping port over all those other titles to PC and teach the first-party studios to make better PC optimizations and things like that. So I think that's going to be super super beneficial. Well, it's x86 architecture. I guess the fact that you've got the PS5 and you've got the fact that it's a really fast SSD, they're going to have to be smart about maybe the way that they talk about the PC specs to run their games. So it might end up being, because I thought this was going to be the case anyway, this generation is where we're going to get rid of, hopefully, mechanical hard drives, which means that the new minimum spec for PC is going to be SSDs. Yeah. That's what it needs to be, because then it's going to make it very easy to port and to design games around a faster storage speeds if we take out the snail in the race in that sense. Yeah. But Bluepoint acquisition is quite interesting. Like, I was not surprised about House Marquee. I had a feeling their relationship was quite close. But Bluepoint, I also have had that sinking suspicion that was always going to be an acquisition. Like, it just wasn't announced. The amount of work that they've done exclusively for PlayStation. They did Demon's Souls 3 remake. They did, what's that other one that they've remastered twice?
Yeah.
The one, I can't think of it.
Shadow of the Colossus?
The title that the Shadow of the Colossus, yes. They've remastered it twice.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting because I was listening to, and
Awful.
Shadow of the, I couldn't think of it.
Imagine remastering the game twice, and then people buying it again and again. Oh god, it's awful. Greedy.
Well,
but anyway,
it's interesting because if you look at what work Bluepoint has done, they have actually proven to be a really solid developer. However, we haven't seen anything about their storytelling abilities because they're just remastering stories that have already been written, and all they're doing is bringing it up to today's standards.
They're basically
That's all they're doing. So
they're basically like a cinema that only does cover versions. That's basically what they are.
Yes.
You never.
So we haven't seen. We haven't seen anything as an IP from them specifically, and it'll be quite interesting to see. I reckon Bluepoint's going to end up in two teams. I think one team's going to do solely remasters. I think another team is going to throw their hat in the ring and come up with new IP. That's what I think is going to happen with Bluepoint. I think they have the ability because they show themselves as really good at being able to build a game. We know you can build a game. Build your own game. That's what I want to see.
But just to continue that same energy, guys, you know, when Xbox purchased studios, we heard from the fan base, these games are going to be, because they've only just got them, they're going to be about 4 or 5 years out. You've got to carry that same energy. So you're not going to get games from House Marquee now, because they just released a game, or any of these new studios, for 4 or 5 years. So, you know, that sucks. So it's still not really helping Sony at all. The other thing that you mentioned, Phil's recent thingy, did you hear him drop that Elder Scrolls 6 will be exclusive to Xbox?
Oh, I must have missed that.
Yeah, he said he confirmed it. He just dropped it in. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be exclusive to Xbox, so it's already been confirmed. So there we go. Bosh.
Well, there you go. Mic drop moment. I guess there's a whole heap of people going to be either getting really good PC rigs and playing it on Xbox and then Xbox. I mean, playing it on PC through Xbox and then Xbox getting all that cheddar. Then you're going to have people buying who are console gamers, like prefer to game on console, like you and myself. I mean, I like PC, but only for RTSs. They're going to be the ones buying a Xbox, whether it's a Series S or a Series X. And do you know why you're buying a Series S? Maybe you can't justify having a Series X. Maybe you just can't, but you can justify having an S because your big console is going to be PS5. Who knows? You're still buying into the Xbox ecosystem. You're still going to pay for that game that supports Xbox. And if you get a Series X, you're going to be doing the same thing. Like, damn. Microsoft is just killing it.
They are. They're going to be they're feeding. So we should move on to the next subject.
We'll definitely move on.
So we've got indie dev speaks out against PlayStation. So we had recently on Twitter. There was a lot of talk about that indie devs have to pay the bigger companies money to have their games put on their systems, but I think that goes for both sides. You know, a lot of people saying, "Oh, PlayStation are nasty for doing this," but I think if you carry on reading through, Xbox does it as well. But we acknowledge that, don't we? We acknowledge both companies do it. However, the arguments there, I'd say, is that Xbox will put all their games on Game Pass and really support them well. And this is the issue that's come out. So this is sort of a separate issue from that. What the devs are saying is Sony won't even acknowledge them. They'll acknowledge these little devs or even get back to them. Whereas, Xbox are quite sort of, I think, open with these indie devs, welcome on board, chucking their games into Game Pass, really supporting them, really advertising them. At things like E3, they even have slots for just indie games and really like to just publicise them and just throw them out. Sony a bit on the quiet, aren't they, Red? Go for it.
I think it's interesting. You know me so well. I think it's interesting, like, when you read through the tweets and you read through the articles that have come out about this, it talks about the level of hoops that all the indie devs, if they want to get promoted or even get a discount on their game. It is insane, the hoops that they have to go through, the fact that sometimes if they want, like, they're paying to put their game out there, like on those I guess promotional like videos, and whether it's a state of play or anything like that, it's them having to pay to get that promotion through PlayStation. And they're talking about how they don't like the if PlayStation doesn't like your game, it's kind of going nowhere. I think just the idea behind what's happening with the two companies, when PlayStation 4 launched in 2013, it was called the Indy Station. Xbox had a lot more, I guess you would say, AAA exclusives in their launch title. So they had a better launch title lineup in comparison to PlayStation 4. So PlayStation had kind of known that was a weak point. So they made it all about the indies and showed we've got all these other games that you can play. And then later on you see a flip again where Xbox kind of is promoting indies big time because they didn't have all of those titles. So it flipped over, and even now we're looking at the fact that Xbox has all these big titles, but they're not shying away from the indies at all. They're still letting them come in. They're letting them use Game Pass, and a Game Pass is a great promotion for them, a free promotion, and when you think about it, for an indie studio, because a lot of it is Xbox is paying these studios to put as an incentive to put something on them if they want to, I guess, if they're worried and they kind of want to make sure that they're looked after. But I agree with you. There will be instances like, I guess probably the Microsoft store is going to be an interesting one where there might be, hey, put it here. We take a bit of a cut. I don't know, what was PlayStation's one was like 30%, wasn't there, cut?
Yeah.
I don't know what Xbox's is.
No,
I assume they do have similar. I assume they do have very similar business practices in certain aspects, but I also think that Game Pass is becoming its own thing. I don't. You think of Steam and you think of the Epic Store and you think of all of that. When I think of Xbox, I think of Game Pass, and I know that into the back end of Game Pass, if you want to buy a game, it leads you to the Microsoft Store, or the Xbox Store, or whatever it is.
Which
but you
people
can
don't seem to
access it
realise.
via Game Pass.
Yeah.
So that's its own way into that's its own back way into the store, and I feel like you get the incentive to go, hey, especially when Game Pass was new, they had to encourage people to go onto it. Then the developers see the benefit of Game Pass by going, hey, we get this free promotion. We're getting all these people trying out our game that probably would have never even looked at our game twice going through the store, because you've got the fact that, hey, you want to try a game, you want to give it a go, and you possibly want to buy it. Think of it like how we talk about xCloud, how you're saying, like, if you're anywhere on the go and you want to play a game and it's on xCloud while you wait for it to download on your home console, you don't have to wait. You get access to it immediately, and that's kind of what Game Pass is. And if you want to buy the game, you can. And the idea of xCloud is if you want that game, you can play it right away as like a demo or lead into before you go and play the full title on your like console, where it'll have better performance, better resolution, and all of that. You're just getting immediate access to it, so it kind of contrasts nicely to what you see on xCloud. And it's not called xCloud anymore. I can never remember its name. Yeah. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I like to ramble, obviously. I'll let you talk, because I talk forever. What are your thoughts on the indie stuff?
Yeah, I don't know what's going with. They did say they wanted to push more AAA titles. They said they was going to have less games. When this is before the generation kicked off, didn't they? They did actually announce it's going to have less games, but focus more on AAA. And I think it's just a massive mistake for Sony to do that, because you do get people that like indie games, and these developers have got to come from somewhere. Nobody goes into a business at the top of their game. Nobody comes in as a AAA developer. So they're just gonna, if anything, it's very negative towards. They seem very negative towards developers. I don't seem they're going to be shunning and killing off a lot of developers this way, who are they're not going to want to disintegrate. So they're going to take the side of Xbox. If Sony are going to shun them, they'll just go the other way, or we'll just go Xbox then. And Xbox's games are just going to just keep piling up. Game Pass get bigger and bigger, because then you got the thing as well is that also Sony charge for crossplay for PS5 games, don't they? PS games. So if a developer wants their game players to play together, so you have to pay Sony for that on top of that as well. I don't know why they charge that. It's just more pure greed, that is. And
you remember the head of the coalition, Rod Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
So what was it? He posted something on Twitter about Diablo. And I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this game. I wish this is Diablo 2. And I was like, I can't wait to play this game. I wish it was already August right now. I think it's like August 22nd it releases or something, the remaster.
That's something we should play.
And definitely, because it's what, 8-player co-op?
Yeah, 8-player co-op.
I'm a huge Diablo fan. Huge Diablo fan, love it. And so he's busy. I retweeted his tweet because I was like super excited. I'm like, I wish it was that time already. I'm like, and I questioned like, what platform will you be, would you be playing the game on? Like, what console, what device, or whatever. And then he responded back going like, whatever device I want type, like in a comment of the sense of saying like they're gonna have, I guess, proper cross play, and cross progression. I think because Microsoft has been an advocate for that last gen and moving into this gen, I think you're definitely going to have easy access using smart delivery and using not just smart delivery but the cloud saves and all of that. I think the ease of access for those games to be able to play multiplayer like that is going to be a lot easier on the Xbox side than it is on the PlayStation side, because there's that thing going, if you're playing Doom and you're wanting to play the PS5 version, you have to start a new save.
The whole beginning. It's ridiculous. How can you call that console next gen when it can't do such simple things like there's no backwards compatibility, your saves don't carry over, your games don't automatically update, you have to buy remastered versions for some of the games, otherwise you're just not going to get. How can you call that console next gen? I'm not seeing any next gen benefit. And then all the new games.
Well, the console's next gen, the infrastructure isn't.
Yeah, the infrastructure, yeah. And
Yeah,
then all
the
the new games are
infrastructure.
going to come out for it are going to also be on PlayStation 4. So you can't really call those games next-gen games either. Because if they're the exactly same game is playable on last-gen consoles, they're not next-gen games. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you look at how, and I know this is interesting because we've got Azure on Microsoft's side, and the launch of the Xbox One was horrendous in 2013, obviously. But you look at the fact that one of the announcements when they first started talking about the Xbox One was the fact that they were upgrading the infrastructure, especially around their servers and everything for Xbox. I think it was from 15,000 to 300,000.
Yeah.
That's a huge leap and difference in your computing power and capability using your servers and building in that infrastructure that was going to be important in the way they were planning on doing the online.
Yeah.
And basically you're starting to see how that's come forward with the cloud saves and the smart delivery and all of those, because people were saying, oh, that's so gimmicky moving into this new gen, and I'm like, it's not gimmicky if you understand what it is and the ease of access and the fact that they're taking out roadblocks and such that make it harder for you to get to play your game, because consoles is meant to be really easy. The idea, when you think about a console, my brain would logically tell me, because I don't need to deal with the BIOS, I just need to update it every so often and whatever. If I put a game in and I turn it on, I should be able to play it right away.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to
just like on
go
PC.
Go and load. Yeah, just like on PC.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to go and put the PS4 version of the game in, load up my save there, save it as a cloud save or whatever it is, then load up the PS5 version and then do this weird download.
Yeah.
Honestly, it shouldn't be that difficult, and they haven't I guess invested in the infrastructure enough, because Xbox was doing it back then. Obviously there was a reason behind it, and then a certain industry wasn't ready for it, a certain part of the industry wasn't ready for it, and now we're seeing the fruits of that labor in this generation, and we're seeing one side of it lacking, sorely lacking. And I don't get why there is an outcry about this. If I was seeing a stark contrast between what was happening on Xbox and what was happening on PlayStation side, which I see, I would be pissed off that one company can do it and another company can't. And it's almost been over 6 months since these consoles released. They still haven't announced the M.2 drive expansion availability yet. Their UI is not 100% stable. Games crashing all the time. Yeah. And you can't even bring your saves over, like, without freaking jumping through hoops.
And the biggest comedy...
just gamers jumping through hoops. It's devs jumping through hoops as well.
And the biggest joke of it is they call Mark Sony a genius for creating this console, which is... I've not seen anything genius about this console at all. Nothing sparks... like next gen, nothing sparks genius, and the guy's vanished. He'd done that presentation a year or so ago, and then just vanished into the woodwork. Like, there we go, have it, bye. And they're like, oh, what a genius, amazing, it's incredible. It's not doing anything that it should do. The thing's just very basic. It's a very, in my eyes, a very cheap basic console that they've been palmed off of. So,
well, it's interesting. You talk about how you haven't seen him at all. Xbox has been so vocal, and I know it's PlayStation as a company, and it's Japanese and all of that, so they're a lot more, I guess, reserved in how they approach things. But there is clearly, like, when the PS4 was doing really well, and I know it's different people in charge of PS5 right now, Sony right now, they were quite open and honest in talking up that console.
Yeah.
Because they were proud of it, because they knew what they had over the competition.
Yeah.
Xbox is proud about talking about their console because they know what they have and they know what it is in comparatively to the PS5. But PlayStation is not being loud and proud about their console.
No,
they do occasional blog posts.
Yeah.
It's that speaks volumes, guys. Yeah. We are still waiting to hear more about the roadmap for PlayStation.
What games have we got coming?
PlayStation 5. Yeah, we don't know what games are coming. Like you were talking about.
Yeah, keep saying to Xbox gamers, you're waiting, you're still waiting, you're playing the waiting game. No, we've been told what's coming. It's you guys that are playing the waiting game. You don't even know what games you got. Every time you say Xbox has no games, and then you'll list the Xbox games, and you'll say, can you list me the PlayStation 5 exclusives? They vanish. They vanish from the conversations. Like they just log off. No, go away. Don't talk to me like that. Don't want to know it.
Shoes on the other foot there.
Yeah. It's because Sony's not telling anything. And then they're like, oh, they'll tell us eventually. So you're waiting. You're playing the waiting game because you're waiting for Sony to tell you something. Until then, you know nothing.
It was like...
What happened to all these blog posts? Why don't they just say, well, God of War is the worst one. God of War was meant to release this year. They was told. A lot of them bought PlayStation 5s because they was told. Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which still has no release date, by the way. Horizon Zero Dawn 2 was meant to release this year. Gran Turismo 7 was meant to release this year, and it was PS5 exclusive. God of War was meant to release this year, and they didn't say what it was going to be. All those games now are going to PS4.
Do you remember that weird horror one which had that firefighter type thing, and they showed it off, and it was a PS5 exclusive?
Yeah,
was it shown off last year, and we haven't heard anything about it.
They've gone quiet because they lied. They basically lied to the gamers to sell PS5s. They said, "Buy a PS5, please, because next year you're getting all these games." And people went, "Yeah." And we're talking last year, weren't they? Saying, "Yeah, I'm getting a PS5 because we've got all these games coming." And then that time comes around, and suddenly like quiet, and then people, but no one's going, where are these games you promised? I've just bought £500 console, and all you've given me so far that's exclusive to PS5 is Ratchet and Clank, and people playing it are saying it's not really a next-gen experience like you promised, especially when the foliage doesn't even work. I mean, the foliage on Sea of Thieves even works. You walk through you walk through bushes and they move apart. You don't get that on Ratchet
Be right
and Clank.
back. Sorry, 1 second.
Okay. So it's just absolutely bizarre that how it's going now. So please put in the comments and things what your opinions and what you think about the whole thing. And also what you think about the dev situation, indie devs just not agreeing and not sort of on the side of Sony at the moment, sort of pushing against Sony. It'd be interesting to hear what the indie gamer, actually, an Xbox gamer called the Indie Gamer, what he has to say about that. I wonder if he'll be buying a PlayStation 5 knowing that they are not really supporting indie games anymore. Are you back now, Red?
Yeah.
Right, so should we move on to the next subject? Final subject?
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else I was really going to talk about there. I was just going to say, I remember what I was going to say. I was just going to say with the last generation, when PlayStation came out and started making all their announcements of the titles coming, and we had our titles at the beginning of the launch, and we were happily enjoying them. Obviously, not many people playing them because Xbox wasn't selling well. And the comment was, "We've got all these games. What games do you guys have?" Because it was about the games, and PlayStation was it's about the resolution and the 1080p makes you a better gamer rubbish. And we were asking them, and they were like, "Well, we're happy to wait. We're happy to wait. Play the waiting game. We know what's coming."
Yeah.
We're now in that position where we're happy to play the waiting game because we know those games are coming.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get why you just suddenly have to change your tune and try and take positive things away from other people and try and downplay what's coming because they know what's coming.
Yeah.
It's a flood of games that is going to overshadow what's going on, and it's going to be surprising to see the Game Pass numbers at the end of the year, these subscription numbers.
Yeah. And what's
That's all I want to say.
What's interesting is I was just going to say before we move on then is also that I'm being told by the PS fan base is that all your games are still 3 or 4 years out. And I'm like, no, they've literally give release dates now for a lot of their games. Literally, E3 literally was dropping release dates after even Starfield, they've given a release date for it. Stalker, we've got release date for. Ascent release date. Microsoft Flight Sim release date. Do you see they sneaked in a release date for what do you call it? Halo Infinite, didn't they? A random guy at Halo Infinite posted, I think he said 115 days until Halo Infinite releases. Yeah, did you see that? I had to find it. And people going to you, have you just sneaked out a release date there? And he didn't say anything more. And people from that, and then people have calculated. I think the date is calculated to like 15th of November. That's when the game's going to release. Yeah, he just come out. Guy just put that on Twitter. 115 days till release.
What? 15? 6 days after Forza Horizon 5. I don't think they'll do it that close.
Yeah.
It seems too close.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if it's going on Game Pass, it won't matter, will it? I guess. I suppose. Because they're not.
Yeah, but those two are very big games, so I reckon you would release them maybe a bit further apart.
Yeah, possibly. So and they give a release date for all. That's another thing. They give a release date. So they're dropping release dates for games, but Sony is still not. We've still not seen a release date for Forbidden West yet. Still no release date for it. So, but let's move on to the next subject. Hideous Kojima.
That's my bad spelling.
Yeah, no, you spelled it right. I like to call him, because to be honest, I call him hideous because I don't really like the man, to be honest. And before I'll go into this before we go into the topic, is that I still don't like the man very much, and I think he's very arrogant, very full of himself. This is the guy that called Americans idiots. So it's weird that they supported him at the time, and he was pretty much just insulted Americans, didn't he? I don't think his games are particularly good or anything. So he's still yet to prove me wrong. Because I enjoyed any of the look of his games. But going to the subject, Hideo Kojima, next project could be an Xbox exclusive, he said, and apparently Microsoft has signed a deal with him. So, do you want to run with that? What do you think on that?
It's interesting. To be honest, this is a topic because it is an interesting topic. It's not because I give a shit about this topic. I'm one of those people like you, Elite, who do not care for Mr. Kojima's games or anything like that. They don't interest me. They're weird, and I have no intent in playing any of them until I actually see a game that's worth playing, in my opinion. But he's known for partnering and doing a lot of work closely with PlayStation. So it means that the PlayStation fan base, sorry, well, both actually, really love his work. I think overly and too much more than way more than they should.
They called him a genius, and all his games are a masterpiece. That's what they said.
And then and then he came out and mocked some of them.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because they, I guess, feel like that's kind of like this is someone who should be a first party studio that should be exclusive, shouldn't be making anything for Xbox in partnership with Xbox. And the fact that they've come out and there's a petition to try and prevent this from happening.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got it. This is the stupidest thing. You've got a petition about how you don't want how you want Starfield on your console, right? So you've got a petition about that. And now you have a petition about trying to keep a game off another console that's not your console. Like, I don't get it. Like, what do you actually want? Yeah. That makes no sense. Like, you want a game on your platform, but you want to keep a game off another platform? Which is it? You either think exclusives are important, or you don't.
Yeah. Let's be honest here. Sony fans have been just dragged through the bushes this generation so far, and that's why we spoke right at the beginning of this podcast about receipts. Just don't talk, just don't chat shit, because everyone's going to have receipts on you, and when you flip flop, you're going to look absolutely ridiculous. And this is another case of it, because you've got people coming out now claiming that he's crap and he's rubbish, which, as we know, when Death Stranding came out, they was all calling him amazing and genius. Even when he was calling them all idiots, they were saying he's lovely, and they were basically praying to him, weren't they, and called him a god. And so, literally, they was calling him a god. And then when he's like, obviously the writing on the wall here, when he's decided to switch over to Xbox, so I'm going to make some games for Xbox. And he's seen Game Pass as a good deal. He's not doing it because he wants to lose money, because this man is far from losing money. He's so arrogant. There is no way he would lose anything from this. So he's seen Game Pass as a good deal. Thought, I'm going to make a game for Xbox and put it on Game Pass. See how we go with that. And the PlayStation fans have gone absolutely loopy about it. It's just, I think it's hilarious. And yet people saying the Xbox fan base are flip flopping. You called him rubbish. I'm still calling him rubbish. I still don't like the man, and I still want him to make a game that proves me wrong. So I'm not flip flopping at all. I still don't like him. Still don't like the man. Still don't like his games. I'm not saying he's brilliant, but I do welcome a game for one, I welcome game because there are the people that do like his games on Xbox.
Yeah.
And two, I want him to come over to Xbox, make a game for us to see what he can make that it's more in tune with Xbox gamers and what we enjoy. Because personally, I don't want a Death Stranding 2 on Xbox. I don't do you want that? I would like to see something new. And what I like what apparently he's making, there is the rumour that he's making a series, sort of game series horror for Xbox, isn't there? There was that rumour.
We don't need more horrors. No offense, I'm not a horror game fan. No. We've got enough as it is.
It'd be interesting to make if he made a horror. And then there was the thing about Metal Gear Solid that he might be recreating or doing his own version for Xbox, which could be interesting as well. Yeah. Oh, Silent Hill's not exclusive to PS5, by the way. Now we know. But anyway, so cool.
I think it's just who cares where he's making a game, guys. Yeah. He's making a game. Support the developer. Yeah. If he does, his last title wasn't the best. If he brings up another title that is amazing, then hopefully, because he's an indie, independent, he will possibly be able to port that later on to PlayStation.
To PC, or to PC, where they can all play it on their high-powered rigs.
39 needs.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. But to go that far, because there is, like, I don't get why you think putting a petition on this is going to do anything.
Yeah, as if people pay attention to them.
Are you that butthurt? And I know this, people say this all the time. Are you that hurt that this game is not going to be available, could possibly be completely exclusive, if they end up going ahead with it? Are you so upset that you possibly might be forced into buying an Xbox or paying for something on the Xbox ecosystem, whether that's PC or something, that you're willing to stoop to crying about it on a petition about a video game?
Yeah.
Join a petition that matters. Shit happens around the world. This is a hobby and a passion project, like passionate, not project, but something that us gamers are passionate about. And you're just trying to go, we don't like the fact that this game, that this developer could make a game on your platform, so we're just going to try and stop it. World hunger, sort that out first. Do a petition for that. Do something that actually matters. Like, stop bringing down our community and making it toxic and stupid, because it is stupid. This whole thing is pointless. And the fact that we're talking about it proves it isn't just pointless, because there's an actual problem within our community, that this is a conversation point that we have to keep hitting home. Why are you trying to rain on someone else's parade, and why are you trying to negatively impact their gaming experience? What does it do for you? Nothing. Shut up, play your game, and be quiet.
What's interesting as well, they're saying Game Pass is trying to monopolise games, and they're forcing us to get Game Pass now to enjoy these games. Sony have always forced you to buy a console to play their games, a £500 console, just to play their games. So I don't see the difference there. You know, at least you don't have to buy a £500 Xbox Series X to play these games. You can just play them on your PCs. But Sony are forcing me to buy a console to play their games. Okay. And I don't want to buy a £500 console to play one game.
So, yes, well, I would probably go for a Slim if I was to get a PlayStation, because no, actually I'd go for disc, sorry, because I don't want to pay full price for games, and, you know, after hearing how hard it is for developers to get discounts on their games over studio, no thank you. I'd rather buy a physical. The depreciation value would be better for me. But there was a tweet, and we're talking about the part of the community that's stupid. It says Hideo Kojima's next game is reportedly an Xbox exclusive, and this was posted by GameSpot. And then some guy replies, "Microsoft greedy continues, like the evil empire of gaming." And I'm like, are you kidding me? So this was a post that I saw on Twitter. So I quote tweeted it, and I said this out. If I can find it. And I said, "Damn, this person is blind to reality. PlayStation had an exclusive with Kojima called Death Stranding, and you're calling Xbox and Microsoft greedy for them making it exclusive with them? Like, are you serious?" It's like people just post on here so they have something to do rather than actually doing research.
Yeah.
Like, to outright, and then he's gotten rid of his tweet now, but I took a screenshot of it and I attached it to my tweet. But to actually turn around and go, Microsoft and Xbox is being greedy by planning on making an exclusive with Kojima. Kojima's been making exclusives that have been kept off Xbox, like pot calling the kettle black type mentality. Like, are you kidding me? Like that.
Well, the Final Fantasy
the
series.
level of stupidity. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII remake. Still hasn't come to PC yet.
No.
Still is not announced to be at all coming to Xbox at the moment.
Yeah.
Who's being greedy now?
The problem is the narrative's slowly crumbling. The whole narrative that they've carried on for 10 plus years is slowly crumbling around them. As Sony wants to make more money and realises that it needs to branch out more. And Xbox is slowly getting bigger. And it's basically snowballing. It's a snowball effect for Xbox. As that Game Pass rolls down that hill, it's picking up more developers, more studios, more games, more revenue, more studios, more games, more revenue, more studios. And that ball is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Sony's at the bottom of it. It's like the little kid at the bottom, sort of looking up at this ball growing as it comes towards them. And I think they're sort of like caught in the headlights now. And I think they're in panic mode. That they're worried that Xbox will just be as successful, if not bigger, than Sony. And I think that really scares them and really worries them. And it's weird that they're scared that they might have to buy a Game Pass or to play these games. And they really hate Xbox so much that they just won't. They would rather shun and cancel. They'd rather cancel, even though this is the same people that say you should support developers, you should support your games. In the same breath, they're quite happy to cancel developers and cancel games just so the other side can't have them. And it's quite ridiculous, really.
Yep.
Childish. But I think we should finish that subject. I think, should we finish it there then?
Did you hear that Gears, the Coalition, is going to be at GDC, going to be showing off a Unreal Engine 5 demo?
No, I've not. No, so I wonder what that is then. I wonder what that they're doing. They
know.
did say
When's
they're working on
GDC
the game.
coming up?
Yeah, I didn't know. And they work. Is it a Gears 6? Do you think, or is it a new project? I wonder.
I don't know. It just said it was an Unreal 5 demo, and it would be shown off at GDC.
Oh dear.
Game Developers Conference. Isn't that earlier in the year?
Yeah, there's no.
Last year it was earlier in the year.
They're about February, are they?
Maybe
March?
maybe they've moved it. Who knows? But this was announced that's coming, and I was like, that's going to be interesting to see because like the Coalition has a history of releasing games on Unreal using the Unreal Engine. Yeah. They have a really good understanding of the engine. So it'll be actually really, really, I think, amazing to see what they end up doing with Unreal 5. Yeah. Because of how much they already invest and use Unreal Engine anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be huge. What do you think on that?
Yeah, that's gonna be massive because we're finally actually going to see a game running on Unreal because we've not seen a game. We've seen a demo by Epic and that, but we've not seen actually any gameplay or any games running using directly Unreal Engine 5. And Xbox is going to be the first ones using Unreal Engine 5. If they've already, as I already said, they've already got games running on it and using it. Sony hasn't. And this will be, I suppose, the first. I wonder if it's a gameplay or if it's just a demo or something. Or I'm not sure what it's going to be.
Well, they've just said it's a demo at this point. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
There could be more to it.
Is it a demo of a game or is it just a demo of something?
No, I'm gonna feed the console wall right now for a moment. I have a question to ask you, Lee. Do you think that this demo would be able to be run on either a PC or PS5 since it's probably going to be built to run on a Series X? Yeah. What do you think? Do you think the PS5 will be able to run it? Or maybe the Series X?
I don't think a PC can run it even. No, it's going to be exclusive to the Xbox Series X. Nothing else can run it. Nothing. It's exclusive.
But isn't Unreal Engine 5 like a very scalable engine for running games on multiple devices and architecture for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation?
Yes, but in this direct minute
in this reality,
Epic don't want to make any money from anything else, and they just want to focus just on one console.
Oh, okay. I just had to. I had to throw that in. I had to throw it in, guys. If for anything, like that narrative was
Yeah,
ridiculous,
it that narrative. Yeah.
and to have that narrative blown out of the water into pieces.
How long do we hear?
If
This can't run on
the
Xbox Series
PlayStation
X.
fan base just
Yeah.
the toxic part of the PlayStation fan base just keep coming back up, like coming back for more. Like I don't know what, they just don't stay down. I mean, we went quiet in last generation pretty fast because there was like a minuscule of positive news about Xbox, and then it was just a shit ton of negative.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, Xbox couldn't do anything right. Right now, the tables are turning, and PlayStation might have some good news, and then immediately gets either overshadowed by the amazing positive news coming out of Xbox's side, plus the negative news coming out of PlayStation side, because there is negative there, and you can't ignore the fact that there's negative.
A lot of negative.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to see how the tables have turned. Obviously, not the whole gaming media has actually woken up to the bullshit. They are still clearly following the Pied Piper for clicks. But I don't know. I'm actually quite intrigued by the whole idea, and this is going back to, I've got a sporadic mind, guys, so I apologize. Going back to the Gears 5 demo. I mean, I don't know if it's a Gears 5 demo specifically, but it's the Coalition. I think that's going to be quite eye-opening.
Yeah.
Because Gears 5 was beautiful, and then they did some X enhancements for it. I think it should really probably open our eyes to what the Unreal Engine 5 is going to bring to the new generation of games, and what the actual series consoles can do, whether that is the Series S or the Series X, because we have not seen a game yet using BC Pack. We haven't seen it, because PlayStation, there are games already released using Kraken architecture to get the speed. I mean, and to get the oh my god, what's it called? I can't think of what it does.
What's that?
Compacting the storage. I can't think of why my brain just is so sporadic where it loses words. I can't find it. No, I can't find the word. It's somewhere there, somewhere in my mind. Decompression. Is that what I'm talking about? Decompresses the file sizes.
All right. Oh yeah.
And compress yeah. So there are games already using Kraken where the file sizes for the same multiplat game are smaller on the PlayStation 5 than they are on the Series X. Obviously, there's a difference in resolution in some of the features, but not a big enough difference to notice like 15 to 20 gigs difference. So we haven't yet seen the capabilities and the use of Velocity architecture and BC Pack, where you're getting a lot more use of the feature set available on the PS5 this early into the generation. So it just goes to tell me that Xbox really has legs to, like, they've got legs, and it's going to be a long, like, we're gonna see what this console can really do. Whereas I feel like we're already starting to kind of reach some sort of limit on what the PlayStation is capable of. Obviously, engines are going to make a big difference, but I think around the actual capabilities and features and set through RDNA and what Xbox is bringing to the table.
Hence why
there's going to be a huge difference.
Hence why there's already talk about a mid-gen refresh already for the PS5. I think I reckon come next year, maybe 23, we will see it all early on, a mid-gen PS5 rehash redone.
Do you know what that mid-gen refresh is? Do you know what that mid-gen refresh is? It's for all the PlayStation fanboys to realize that they shouldn't have bought a PS5, and the mid-gen refresh is the Xbox Series X.
Yeah,
so just buying a Series X. That's their mid-gen refresh.
Sony will get send them all Xbox Series X's with a PS5 written on it.
Yep.
Right, okay, I think we'll leave it there then. We've just gone over the hour mark. So, thank you all for watching, as always. Please comment and share. We appreciate
hit that like button.
We appreciate the support. Yeah, hit that like button. Drop some comments. Drop some subs.
Give a lead a follow.
Yeah, please. Check out Red Dead Panda's channel as well. Check us out on Twitter. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.
Bye.